It's 4:30 a.m. UK time. I was just about to go to bed. However, Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson and Rob Font versus Marlon Vera have both just been announced, and I need to give my reaction to both of them and also an early prediction on how I see both of those fights going. So let's start straight away with the first one, Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. No bedtime for Guru. Let's talk about this matchup. We kind of knew this was going to get made. It's been sort of rumoured for a very long time. Michael Chandler has openly said that that's the matchup he was looking for. Tony Ferguson has also said that was the matchup he was looking for. He called out Michael Chandler on Twitter. Michael Chandler said, yes, but we can do it in June, maybe May. I've still got a little bit of time to wait. I just went to war with Justin Gaethje. We're going to have to delay this a little bit. I'll fight you in one of those dates. And now here we are in May. A nice turnaround for Michael Chandler and Tony Ferguson to fight each other on a big pay-per-view card of UFC 274. Oliveira versus Gaethje. I'm sure this will be either the feature fight or maybe it will open up the main card with fireworks. It's a 3-round bout, and initially I'm leaning Michael Chandler to end the career of Tony Ferguson in brutal fashion by first round KO. And it's very sad to say that. I just think Tony Ferguson gets hit way too much, and he's always been hit way too much. But now people are actually good enough and powerful enough to really make him pay for being hit a little bit too much. We saw that against Justin Gaethje. That fight kind of changed his career. Then he lost to Charles Oliveira, and things just haven't really been looking too good for Tony Ferguson. Then he lost to Beneil Dariush, and he out-grappled him again there. Beneil Dariush did, and just held down Tony Ferguson. So I can even see maybe an outcome where a guy like Michael Chandler just shoots a good takedown early on, finds his way into half guard, and just lays there in half guard, landing total strikes and stuff. However, Michael Chandler does seem to prioritize giving the fans an entertaining fight. So maybe, as I align my microphone to the center of the screen, maybe he will make it fun, which will give Tony Ferguson a chance to maybe weather an early storm, survive a couple of knockdowns, and start roly-polying all over the place and jumping up with spinning elbows over and over again. And maybe he will autism his way to a victory against Michael Chandler. However, Tony Ferguson's management deserve maybe death. Execution would be ideal, so it can be a public display. They hate Tony Ferguson. They hate his family. They want his kids to suffer. They want Tony Ferguson to suffer. They want Tony Ferguson's wife to suffer, because they can't for the life of them figure out that Tony Ferguson's main chance in any matchup he takes on ever, regardless of who it is and what version of Ferguson it is to have a 5-round fight. And his management team just don't seem to be fucking understanding this. Main event of a fight night, Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chandler, would be amazing. But what do you do again to poor Tony Ferguson? You give him less of a chance by making it a 3-rounder, and therefore decreasing the chance that Michael Chandler loses all of his gas tank and uses all of his energy up in the first round and gasses as the fight goes on and gets finished later in the rounds. Now, there is a chance that still Ferguson could bounce back in the second or third and try and get something done there. However, it's a much more reduced chance. So I am going to trust in Michael Chandler, not to mention, not only is he not going to have more time to gas out in potentially, but he also has the mindset of being in a 3-round fight. So even when they're in the second, he's got the mindset of, I've got 1 more round to go after this, rather than I've got 3 more rounds to go. I'm not even halfway through the fight yet. So he's going to be more confident to use some big moves and make some stuff happen early on to make the action occur. And I think he will smash Tony Ferguson with a big, massive right hand straight on the jaw. Down goes Ferguson, tries to recover. Chandler's on him. We saw Dan Hooker try and recover after a big shot from Michael Chandler. Chandler's got really good follow-up shots, really powerful follow-up shots. He's got good finishing ability. He even rocks Justin Gaethje in the first round. I just don't think Tony Ferguson's going to be the same. He's getting a little bit older, and his management team are Satanists. They work for the devil. Simple as that, really. His management team are members of the occult, and they hate Tony Ferguson, and they want his career to be over because they can't understand that this guy needs 5 rounds. He needs 5 rounds to have a really good chance. Why are you booking him 3 fucking rounds? Again, the Dariush fight ain't enough evidence. The Oliveira fight ain't enough evidence. In a 3-rounder, they can just cruise on top of him. Don't have to worry about gassing out. I think Ferguson's done. There's a chance that he could win. I really do admit that. There is a chance that he wins. I can just see Chandler smashing him square on the jaw with a piston right hand over a lazy jab of Ferguson. Or I can see Ferguson shimmying in with some weird movement, throwing for like a teep with his chin wide up in the air, and Chandler just fucking blasting him over the top, folding him in half, crumpling him down to the canvas. Ferguson rolling all over the place. Chandler takes the back mount, punches him from there. Ferguson's still trying to scramble. Chandler's punching him from there as well. Against the cage, they're bigger shots now. The referee has to jump in. Maybe Ferguson pops back up afterwards and protests it, but he wasn't defending himself appropriately, and Chandler gets to finish in the first round. Does it make sense as a matchup? Yes. I believe this is number 5 versus number 7 in the lightweight division right now. It makes sense. They're both coming off losses. Number 5 versus number 7. They're both big names. 5-rounder though. 5-rounder though. That would have been perfect. But no, 3-rounder. Main card of a pay-per-view. It's all good. I guess this completes the sort of quadrilogy situation that we've got going on right now, where Oliveira's fought Ferguson, he's fought Chandler. He'll now fight Gaethje at UFC 274. Gaethje's fought Chandler, he's fought Ferguson. He'll now fight Oliveira at UFC 274. Ferguson's fought Gaethje, he's fought Oliveira, he'll now fight Chandler. Chandler's fought Oliveira, fought Gaethje, he'll now fight Ferguson. These guys will all have shared the octagon with one another when it comes to that night and after the night is over. But I am going to go with Michael Chandler getting the job done early on here by first round KO. Ferguson does have a chance. He obviously still does. But at this point in his career, I don't see any like tremendous fixes for any problems in his games. And he's had a lot of time off right now. And he's not going to make like tremendous strides forward at this point. 38, I believe, is his age. The testosterone has been lowering since Gaethje knocked all of the T levels out of him in their fight that they had. Not good for Tony Ferguson, man. Really sad. I'm going to go with Michael Chandler. The winner of this one, in my opinion, should look for the RDA matchup, or maybe call out Conor McGregor, because if Masvidal doesn't take the McGregor fight and something else happens with Masvidal, they could definitely justify the winner of Chandler versus Ferguson versus Conor McGregor in August of this year, and that would be perfect. And that would be ideal. So I think the winner of this one should call out for Conor McGregor 100%, and if they don't get Conor McGregor, fight off RDA instead and work your way towards a title shot that way instead. Moving on to another matchup, Rob Font versus Marlon Vera. A great matchup in the bantamweight division, number 5 in Rob Font versus number 8 in the world, Marlon Vera. Great matchup. I didn't see this one coming. I thought they were going to do Marlon Vera versus Corey Sandhagen. I think Sandhagen wants a little bit more time off after his Yan fight, wants to rebuild himself and make sure that he is 100% by the time he comes back, and they did desperately need an event, a main event for April 30th on the Fight Night card there, because they had no main event before this fight was signed, and it's in like just over 6 weeks, 7 weeks, like it's not far away, so they desperately did need a main event for 5 rounds, and they've settled on Font versus Vera. Great matchup. I think Vera wins this one. I'm leaning Vera 100% here against Rob Font. I think Rob Font's very good, but I think in his last fight, we saw what happens when someone pressures him and puts some whooping on him. I think that he doesn't really take damage too well compared to a guy like Marlon Vera. So although I could definitely see a guy like Rob Font tuning up Marlon Vera for the first 2 rounds, again, the fact that this is a 5-rounder does not benefit Rob Font in any way. Marlon Vera is damn fucking impossible to finish. Good luck finishing this Terminator of a man. And he's a weight bully as well on top of that. Good luck finishing this guy. Because if you don't, he's going to be in your face for 5 rounds, walking you down, making shit happen. Font can't grapple with him, so it's going to be a stand-up fight unless Vera wants to choose to grapple, in which case that gives him an advantage and gives Font more things to worry about when he's trying to strike, compared to Vera not having to worry about takedowns from Rob Font. So I think Vera's going to have an advantage there in options, in making Rob Font think about other things. Font's going to have a disadvantage because he's thinking about different approaches Vera could take, and he's also going to be on the back foot here. He has to worry about about his cardio in a 5-rounder. Sure, Rob Font could get a KO. Don't see it happening. I don't think he finishes Marlon Vera, so I can definitely see Marlon Vera breaking him, finishing him maybe in the 4th or 5th round by TKO to ground and pound. Font just can't really take the damage anymore, maybe. Got beaten up quite badly by Jose Aldo. That was in November. Not a long layoff, but not a short layoff either, so decent turnaround for him. He's an older guy anyway, so I doubt he wants to take too much time off. And we get a main event for April 30th, but in my opinion, I would have done Chandler Ferguson main event April 30th, and then Rob Font versus Marlon Vera on the feature fight position of UFC 274, and I would have been happy with that, but these managements don't know what they're doing, especially in the case of Rob Font versus Rob Font or Tony Ferguson. They're booking them the complete incorrect amount of rounds, but either way, this is the matchup, a big one in the bantamweight division. I thought it was going to be O'Malley versus Font, but I guess they're going to have to do O'Malley versus some other random guy. I don't know, because they're going to do Aldo versus Cruz as well, I would assume. And that leaves Sandhagen and O'Malley, unless O'Malley wants to take on Ricky Simone, which I highly doubt that he wants to do. So that probably won't be happening. But yeah, really good matchups between the both of these. Rob Font's got really good straight punches. Vera does move his head well. He does take shots on the chin, but he takes them very well. He meets them with his forehead and stuff like that. Sure, Rob Font can maybe try and time those uppercuts and stuff, but I just don't see him, no matter what he does on the feet, finishing Vera. And that's a problem when Vera's chopping at your calves, going to your body with front kicks, elbowing you in close range. And I noticed in the last fight that they had, listen, Vera didn't look small against Aldo. In fact, he might have been bigger. Font looked tiny next to Aldo. I thought Font was a bit of a weight bully at bantamweight, and it might just be because of his reach that I thought that. He looked tiny against Aldo, and Vera looked big against Aldo. So I think Vera is going to be too big, too physical. He can mix things up, non-stop pressure, and Rob Font's just signed a terrible fight for himself. So I reckon I'll call a late rounds TKO for Vera, a first round TKO for Michael Chandler. These are not the matchups I would have made, but they're great matchups nevertheless, so yeah. 4:45 a.m. UK time, boys. Talking about MMA. This is the commitment that you asked for. So far, now I'm all brightened up on the screen here. Sorry. Oliveira Gaethje on the main card. Chandler Ferguson. I don't know what else they're going to add. I think O'Malley's looking to fight on that card as well, so they'll probably sprinkle him in there as well. Probably a Figueiredo Moreno 4 on that 274 card, and that will be a good card that doesn't really need anything else. And then you've got Font versus Vera. Not much else going on that card so far, so that's going to need some real immediate help. Hopefully it does get like a really good co-main event, because the next best fight on that card is Meerschaert versus Jotko, which is good, but the next best fight after that is Gordon versus Alves. Shevchenko versus Casey. I mean, that's just not a great card. So hopefully we can fix that April 30th card and get some big fights on there, and also some of the other April cards. What's going on, UFC? Andrade versus Lemos better have the best main card I've ever seen if you justify that as a main event, or I am going to lose my shit again. We've just started getting some good fight night cards like the ones this weekend and the weekend afterwards. Do not let us resort back to our old ways of trash fight night cards with no appeal whatsoever, please. Either way, though, great matchups. Really looking forward to them. I wish both the best. I just don't know about the rounds that their managements are choosing for them. Maybe they don't have a choice. Maybe it's just what the UFC tells them to do, but seems silly to me. So if I was Tony Ferguson, they are giving out a lot of... Listen, if RDA versus Moicano can be a 5-round co-main event, Ferguson versus Chandler can be a 5-round pay-per-view main card fight. Feature fight, co-main event, don't care what you say. There needs to be some kind of push to make that a 5-rounder, because we need to make this as fair as possible for Tony Ferguson's old ass. I'm worried about him and his wife and kids. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. But, you know, if Chandler kills Ferguson in the cage, and, you know, Ferguson's got a Mexican son, Chandler hasn't caught a Mexican child yet, so he's got black. I think he's going to soon make white with his wife, so he could snatch up the kid afterwards, look after them. So there's always like a system of making sure the kids of Ferguson are going to be okay, even if Chandler does hit him a little bit too hard. So yeah, got to catch them all. Michael Chandler. Like and subscribe. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. Goodbye.